That's M6, M8, M10, M12, M14, and hold on, there's no M5 tap in the books. This is the video tripod head that I use. It's a Sirui, oh, you can read it. This one no longer tightens up, and so therefore it's basically useless. I contacted Sirui a while ago and they sent me a replacement, which I really appreciated. That was very good customer service. But I really don't like the idea of just throwing this one out. You know, I'm not into the sort of one-use, throw things away style of the world, I guess. And this is really nicely made. So let's open it up and see if we can actually fix it. Okay, this is the Arca Swiss mount plate. So it's a part that's machined from solid aluminium by the looks of it. Pretty nicely done. A number of lightning pockets in the bottom just to take the extra weight out of it. That's good to see. Otherwise it's pretty sturdy. It's got a little locking pin. So even when your plate's not completely locked down, it still prevents it from sliding out and your camera falling on the ground. You can see at this stage that the two sides are independent. So this side has just got a very nice smooth resistance to it, whereas the other side is got some sort of a centering spring inside there. Now I'm guessing that these blue hubcaps are just pressed in place and that all the fasteners are underneath them. So what I've done was just drilled a little hole in it. So I figured the locking mechanism was going to be under this side, and sure enough that cap just popped straight off. Not sure if I'll reinstall it, it's not that important. But I can hopefully now remove this locking. Yep, there it goes. That just pulls right off. Oh wow, it's got a thrust bearing in it and some silicone grease. Guess that explains the very nice and smooth motion. Let's take a look at that locking mechanism inside there. It looks like two little spring-loaded balls or something here and on the other side, and maybe plungers. Hard to say what those two pins are. Oh, let's pop this off. See what's behind it. We have another bearing, a lot of silicone grease, that's always good. This looks like threads might have ripped off. Well, I suspect that I've found the problem here. The threads here look like they're intact, but I think it's ripped the threads out of the inside of the matching component. Because that is definitely a ripped out thread. So it's threaded inside for that little retention screw, but luckily this thread looks in good shape. Okay, yeah, it's obviously M5, that's nice and easy to deal with. So this is the matching part, and it must be threaded down through the middle there. Ah, yeah. Ripped out, as expected. Yeah, what do they make this out of? Here's a magnet. It's not magnetic. Yeah, except for the bearing race. That's just sitting in there. So it looks like the repair requires nothing more than making a new one of these with a thread in it. So I was going to make a new part, but then I realised, wait a minute, our number one fan Nico has got a helicoil set. Cool. Now, I don't know if you know about helicoils, but the system basically works like this. You've got a damaged thread, so you drill it out completely. You tap it with a special oversized tap. And then you take one of these helicoils, right, which is basically like a spring made out of diamond-shaped wire. And there's a little tab in the middle. Using the tab, you can screw the thing into your oversized, newly tapped hole. And once it's in there, it basically spring loads out and locks itself in. Your inside threads are perfect and in very nice spring steel, very hard, very strong, and it grips nicely into your part. It's a cool system. It's used a lot in automotive and aviation and things like that. A lot of high quality components get helicoiled inserts straight into their castings so that they're protected before they can even wear out. You need a drill. So in my case, for M5, the oversized drill is 5.2 millimeters. Then you need the special tab. That's M6. M8, M10, M12, M14, and hold on. This is the insertion tool. See, it's got a little sort of a bit on the end of it. You screw the insertion tool into your helicoil, and that grips that little tab on the end, and that's how you can screw the thing into the hole. If you've got a through hole, once you're finished, you just use this little punch to smash off that little driving arm, that little tab. Looks like I need to replace the M5 tap. If you go into the Helicoil catalogue, the tap I need, this M5 Helicoil tap, has the same pitch as the M5 thread, which is 0.8 of a millimeter pitch, but larger diameter. You can buy these taps singly, but let's make one. Okay, this tap's only going to cut aluminium, but I still want to make it out of some decent tool steel. Oh yeah. There we go. This is my stick of silver steel. I think in America you call it drill rod or W1, water hardening tool steel. Now I had planned to use collets for this job, but when I was setting up the collet closer I realized that I've got this red light here on my relay board, but when I did the troubleshooting I found that its power supply, marked 51, which is the 5 volt rail, I had misread and mounted to 61, which is the 24 volt rail. So I think I've shot its input electronics. I'll just replace that board. It's only a $7 board or something. That means it's going to be another job I'll do with the forge or chuck. Right, that should do the trick. So I'll just move it out and put a shank on it. I'm going to dip the end in this green goo. That stuff should prevent oxidation of my nice new threads. Once a magnet no longer sticks, you're above the eutectic point and can quench. Right, let's quickly go to the lathe and buff it back up. So, did it go hard? Definitely. File just skates across the surface. Sorry, I aimed the camera wrong, but here I'm just drawing the temper back to about a straw colour. Now, because I'm not a Philistine, and probably even more because it's already set up like this, and therefore takes absolutely no effort on my part, I'm just going to grind off the back end of this tap to take off those saw marks. That looks prettier. You know, it's just gone 50 years since the Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars tour finished with a show in the Hammersmith Odeon in London. They made a movie of that show back in 1973, and to celebrate the anniversary, they've now re-released it and remastered it. We went to the cinema this week to watch it, And man, I mean, Bowie's a genius, but Ronson and the Spiders from Mars, man, those guys rock. Especially when they're just jamming while Bowie's off doing his many costume changes. If you get a chance to see this, go and watch it, it's awesome. Shame I didn't see that concert live, but I was only 3 years old and lived 20,000 kilometers away. So there's that. Next question is, can I get it high enough? Okay, I can't get the head up high enough. That's always the way it is with a klaxon. You try a setup, doesn't fit, try something else. Maybe a lower vice will help. I'm just going to grind a little bit of lead angle on there. Let's do a test piece in some scrap aluminium. Okay, so here's the moment of truth. Can I screw this helicoil all the way through there? All right, goes in. And an M5 screws in, cool. I'll just screw that one all the way through. Don't need to waste a good helicoil. Now by Thursday, I will have forgotten I ever made this. And having an unmarked tap in circulation is about the worst thing, especially with such an unusual size as this, so let's mark it quickly. Obviously not the prettiest engraving of all times, but M5 STI. So there we have it, the final product. I'm quite happy with how that turned out. Alright, time to finally fix the tripod head. Let's try and keep everything nicely centered. I'll do this in the lathe. That's pretty typical for tool making. You spend 3 days making a tool that you use for like a minute. Well, there we have it. Threads are in. They're probably not the prettiest, made with a homemade tap, but let's hope they work. The helicoils come in 3 lengths, like 1 diameter, 1.5 or 2 diameters. This is a 1 diameter one, and I think that's about perfect for this job, because a 1.5 would stick through. So next up, let's break off that drive tab. There it is, and the job's done. Okay, let's start reassembly. I bought some silicone grease. Right, let's mount it to a tripod. My big Manfrotto has been really useful, but for the sort of video stuff I do, you quite often need to sort of get over a table and look straight down. I bought this overarm attachment. Yeah, it turned out to be crap. Didn't lock properly and it fell apart after about 6 months. When I went to New Zealand, I didn't take a tripod because I figured I could rely on family and friends to have them. Yeah, wasn't a robust assumption, that one. And that's why I got a little travel tripod. How cute is that? This is one of those ones where the head unit, if you extend it fully, becomes an overarm. And that's exactly what I need. When doing as many videos as I'm doing, having a nice fast setup of tripods is really important. So there's the normal tripod height. And with the column up, it's about 150 centimeters, which is like 4'11". They also give you this extra doodaddy, which is excellent if you want to mount like a video light or something. Oh, and it has another trick up its sleeve. One of the legs just screws off, mounts on the center column, and becomes a monopod. But I guess you didn't come for a tripod review. You're wondering, did that helicoil repair work? Well, it seems to. I'll have to use it for a while with my heavier rig to see if there's any issues, but it's back in service. You know, my dad taught me, when you borrow a tool, try and return it in a better condition than the way you received it. Thanks, Nico. Thanks for watching.